have the opportunity to ask some questions. I know that whoever has a camera, you may want to take a picture of this because this has never happened in Fresno before, where we've had the heads of all three agencies that fund affordable housing, and they've joined us here today. So I've got a couple of questions. And I'm going to ask each one of you the same question, and then we'll move to the next. But please share what the role of your agency in supporting the financing of affordable housing and or expanding homeownership opportunities. I'm going to start with you, Alanna.
First of all, thank you. Thank you for your energy and your leadership and for bringing this together today. I think everybody should be really giving you a round of applause for what you're doing here and what you're doing in the city. So thank you very much. I have the fortunate honor of being the president and CEO of the Federal Home Loan Bank of San Francisco. This is a new role for me. Tyrone, you've been on the Affordable Housing Advisory Council for the Federal Home Loan Bank of San Francisco for a few years now. And I feel very fortunate that we have this partnership and that we have connected in this way. I am just coming into California. I am excited. I've been in the affordable housing space and housing policy space for more years than I care to admit, but certainly over 25. And a lot of that has been spent at the national level and the federal level. And it is my honor to now be working where it counts, which is at the state and local level. Housing happens here. I really appreciate Mayor Dyer and all of your comments today and the opportunity to be in the community with you this morning or here around Fresno to see all the great work that has been going on. The Federal Home Loan Bank system, not well known to the public. Some of you in this room may be hearing of what that is for the first time. I doubt that. For many of you who are in affordable housing, we are more known, but truly not a well-known organization. We have been around for 92 years. The federal home loan banks are not federal, so we'll start there.
Okay.
We are private institutions. We are cooperatively owned by members, and we are a bank and liquidity provider, a wholesale provider to banks and community lenders and community development financial institutions and housing associates like the State Housing Finance Agency. We work in partnership with all of these institutions to really ensure that liquidity flows through the banking system to the projects and affordable housing and community development efforts that are happening. My district represents the state of California. We're at what I always call the epicenter of affordable housing issues. It all starts in California, and the world learns from what happens in California, and so that's why it's such an honor to be here in this state in particular dealing with these issues. We also cover the state of Arizona and Nevada in my district. And again, just a number of rural, suburban, urban, tribal, affordable housing and community development issues that we're tackling on an everyday basis. We were created by Congress. We are full of a lot of tools. We are a really instrumental part to the housing finance system of the United States. We are one of 11 banks in our district, so we have representation all over the nation. And our biggest role, in my humble opinion, is to ensure that liquidity is flowing through our members and that we are providing the affordable housing support, grant programming, and other innovative funding and financing to close the gaps and really try to be as helpful as we can to some of the challenges that you're talking about. Housing finance is often always where the biggest hurdles are for any project, especially any housing project, period. And then affordable housing, as you said, it's sort of times 10 as that relates. And so we are, I am excited to be here to really help us move forward in building out and really expanding the partnerships and the role that our bank plays in making sure that we are meeting the needs of our communities here in our district. So thank you.
Very good, thank you. Tiena, same question. What role is your institution playing in funding affordable housing and home ownership opportunities?
Happy to be here today. Hello, Fresno. So the California Housing Finance Agency was established in 1975 by the state's legislature, and we are responsible to be the state's affordable housing lender. We are a bank. We don't take in money, but I'll take your money. But our responsibility is to come up with creative financing structures, both in the rental space as well as the homeownership space. We have a unique structure within the state's agency, but because we don't get our dollars from the general fund. We are responsible we are governed by a board of directors, and as Tyrone indicated, he's one of them, as well as Director Velasquez to my left. And then there's another one you might know too from these parts. His name is Preston Prince. Yeah. So CalHFA does at times administer both federal and state resources, but our operations are self-funded. Where do we get our money from? Well, she's talking about the bank. This is the bank right here. And they did a wonderful job, frankly, of helping us with liquidity after the global housing crisis, in which we were hit, unfortunately, very, very hard. But since that time, we've been able to recover in ways that I could not have even imagined. I've been with CalHFA for 10 years. 7 of those years, I also was a board member, and I'm a recovering bankaholic now. I'm a banker. But under my leadership, we were able to retain and get back our AA S&P rating, as well as our AA2 Moody's rating. That, in fact, is the highest rating that CalHFA has ever had in the 50-year history. That now allows us to go out to the public market and get capital from investors. So that's part of my job as well, is to get those investors to invest in California. So this financial strength is actually quite unique. It gives us flexibility and access to private capital. It helps us to address the continuum of housing, as I mentioned, from homelessness all the way to home ownership. We do most of the rental housing in connection and coordination with the administration, the legislature, all of the sisters agencies, HCD included, TCAC, SITLAC, and HCD. And then on the home ownership side, we serve low and moderate income. In the city of Fresno, that's anybody who makes $175,000 or less. So we can actually get not only the lowest populations, but also to middle income wage earners as well. We offer down payment assistance, as well as access to first mortgages through our lender network, which includes some of the folks that are sitting here. We have 185 lenders in our network. And we also offer counseling services in addition to that. In last year alone, we put 6,000 people into a home. 6,000. That's not a bad number. That's not a bad number, especially when you consider that 60% of them were folks of color. It's also important to note that we also provide counseling to get you in the house and keep you in the house, and we also have been providing recovery services, recovery relief funds to those folks to keep them in their home. So that's our job, and that's a job that I think that we need to continue doing, weaving in those spots and attracting pulling in public dollars, but also pulling in private dollars. That's our role.
Very good. Thank you. Gustavo?
Thank you. I want to start by echoing what my friends here on my right say, express my gratitude for being here. Tyrone and the mayor, you are such a great duo in this fight to confront this crisis of homelessness and affordable housing. Tyrone, your vision, I mean, you have a great team. I've never heard you speak in public until today. Now I can see why people in Sacramento were so sad to see you go. You're good, man. You're good. You're good. And I think that vision is clear to everybody here. And to the mayor, his remarks about everything that the city is doing. Every time I watch online the big city mayors, there are like 13 of them, including Mayor of Fresno, I can see why he's right. These mayors, homelessness and affordable housing is their number one issue. It wasn't like that before, and he's right by saying this crisis is just decades in the making. No one really was paying as much attention, and I can say the same thing about my boss, Governor Newsom. I mean, it's just amazing how he came into office and the amount of investments and focus by him, by the Assembly, by the Senate, state legislature, everybody, including leadership of cities and counties. It's just remarkable. And it is a testament of how deep the crisis is. Here in the city of Fresno, it's about 37,000 new homes that have to be created roughly in the next 7 years, of which 40% of them have to be set aside for people with very low and low incomes. And I know the question is about financing, but it's important to acknowledge that we have to first know how to plan adequately for all the housing that is needed to cover the housing shortage, to ameliorate the crisis of people experiencing homelessness and reduce the cost of rents. And we have a great program at the state level called the Pro Housing Designation Program. It is a program that now is being replicated by the White House, where if you as a city fulfill with a number of things, the city council passes with support of the mayor to bring to scale the level of housing that is needed, to expedite, to accelerate. And you get a designation by the state of California that is a unique designation in the country. Fresno has the designation. They've earned that designation, and it is because of the efforts that people are making here in the city. But having said that, there is still a lot of housing needed here. I just shared some of the numbers. It is not just about the financing, but it's also about how cities plan for housing, plan it in a way that you do not further concentrate poverty in just certain areas. You have to build housing, especially affordable, across the spectrum. It is where you plan for housing, because if you plan effectively, people will drive less, and that contributes to support the environment. It's just a number of priorities that people, organizations with local elected leaders and officials have to think about in order to create the housing. But yes, then we get to financing. And it is very, very tough. The capital is stuck in all the funding sources that a project needs to break ground. It's just very complex. And I'm happy to say $10 billion in the Newsom administration has been invested in affordable housing, another $12 billion in homelessness, in spite of the very difficult budget that the state is confronting today. Just this year, just our department, the State Housing Department, will invest more than $4 billion. That's on top of the state tax credits, that the tax credits under the 4% and 9% program. So financing is there, but it is really a matter of planning effectively on engaging the community, making sure that people in the community are engaged to where this housing has to be built, for whom, and certainly homelessness, right? It's like there's not more dire priority than homelessness. We have some great initiatives going on, but financing is something that the state of California is going to continue to support even this year, $4 billion. And City of Fresno, get ready, because if you have a pipeline, there is money for it.
Very good. Oh, well, in the few minutes that we have left, I just want to, if you could summarize in 30 seconds. No, I'll give you 60. I'm generous. 60 seconds or less. What do you see about the future? I know all of you all are doing things that really cast forward. You talk about planning. What do you see for the future from a funding standpoint, from each one of your perspectives? 60 seconds or less.
Well, I'll mention probably some people have heard about the name HomeKey. It's actually in the tour this morning. We visited some projects that have been funded through HomeKey. This is a program that was born out of COVID when hotels and motels were in dire need for the owners to sell these properties. So we took advantage of that, and these properties were then converted into interim and permanent supportive housing. We've done so in a way that there are more than 16,000 new units of housing available because of program HomeKey. The thing though is that the complexities of housing people that are experiencing homelessness. They need a lot of supportive services, especially mental health services. So what is next is Proposition 1 and the Mental Health Services Act reform that the governor has championed in partnership with the state legislature. And this is going to be approximately $6 billion in the next few years for the creation of more than 11,000 treatment beds for people experiencing homelessness with severe mental health challenges. We will be administering $2 billion of that for permanent supportive housing. So to bring to even higher scale HomeKey, acquiring unused office buildings, unused commercial buildings, perhaps more hotels and motels if they are still available, other types of buildings, other types of assets, and convert them into housing. But the key here, under the Mental Health Services Act reform, is that counties will be able to use a lot more money to support the operation of that type of housing. Okay. For veterans, for people experiencing mental health illnesses. And so what I'm going to ask here is, I know you already work together, but the partnership between the county and the city of Fresno and the housing authority is going to be key for this program to provide a lot more housing for people, especially unsheltered people who live on the streets.
Very good, thank you.
What is next? Middle income housing is next. Mm-hmm. Infill and adaptive reuse is next. Mm-hmm. Home ownership for middle income folks is next. Mm-hmm. And that's just to start. What is needed to get the next is money. So how do we get the money? We are talking to everyone to get the money. We're talking to local municipalities. We're talking and seeing how we can put our monies together in a different way so that we're not duplicating efforts, for God's sakes. We're trying to figure out how we can control expenses, for God's sakes. Oversight and management of affordable housing is equally as expensive as it is to get it out of the ground. And that's difficult to do if you're still trying to combat the long-term impact of construction costs, inflation, interest, and let's not even talk about insurance up in here. So we got to figure out how to work together. So what is next is us doing additional collaboration, bringing in the partners who are sitting by and watching this and not doing it as much as they could. That means employers. They're in this fight with us because they need us to stay here. So we're going to create some financing solutions for employers to help keep the necessary folks here that we need. Our teachers, our nurses, our safety workers, even the folks that work at McDonald's. I'm tired of spending $40 at McDonald's.
Yes, what do you see in the forecast?
Well, I just want to say, if I leave with nothing else imparted here about the Federal Home Loan Bank system and the role we play and what you're talking about as the most critical issue here is financing and figuring out how to get this capital where it needs to be deployed. We are, as a system, one of the largest sources of private grant funding in the United States of America for affordable housing. So all over the country, we've deployed over $8 billion in grants to support affordable housing, home ownership for over 1 million households across the nation. We, at the Federal Home Loan Bank of San Francisco and here in California in our district, have deployed over $1.3 billion in affordable housing and down payment assistance grants. We are focused at the entire continuum of housing, from homelessness to supportive services, to the need for development of housing in that arena, as well as affordable rental and affordable home ownership. So it is the entire gamut, and I want you to think of the Federal Home Loan Bank about how we can be a partner. We are often that last mile, last bit of money that is needed to get a project over the hump, and we consider ourselves a partner in that work and really want to be thought of that way by everyone here in the room. In this year's, well, I think I'm going to wait till the end until I say what I was just about to say. But I just want to say here in Fresno, we've awarded a great deal of, we've, I think, been a part of in Fresno with Fresno Housing, nearly 1,000 units of affordable housing. And in the greater Central Valley, we've awarded nearly $140 million to build and preserve over 16,000 affordable units. And we're really proud of that. And we really know that the need is still great and that there is a lot more work to do. And I'm just excited to be on the ground here to actually see it myself and understand the work ahead. So thank you so much.
All right, thank you. I wish we had more time, I do. But I appreciate you all taking the time to leave your cities and come to Fresno. Your commitment to affordable housing is clear today, and I just want to say thank you, and hopefully this won't be your last time coming to Fresno. Thank you all.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.